Dear friends, I'm glad to see you all on Feygin Live. It's Monday, June 13th, 1 minute past 10 Kiev time, and we're doing another stream from somewhere in the internet. Olexiy, glad to see you. Day 110. We have 130,000 people watching us live. I know I bothered you a lot, but that's what Jews do. I keep doing that, and please share streams, links to that stream on your social media. Subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and if you're watching that in English, subscribe to the Privateer station, and please leave your like, because that is the only way to promote these videos on YouTube. Let us start. Olexiy, tell us what happened in the last 48 hours. We did not do the stream yesterday, so we'll be showing a fresh map again. I wonder what map do you have there. It's similar to what we had, just slightly refreshed. Severodonetsk, Popasная. Alright, let's follow the order. First of all, Sum and Chernigov, still shelled by Russian orcs. I want to say there is no threat. A threat of land invasion does not exist in that direction. They barely have 2 battalion tactical groups in that area, and they primarily pose a threat to themselves and neighboring villagers in the vicinity of 500 yards around them. In Kharkov region, they dropped a little more reserves there and started to push us away from the border and a little bit on the east. There was some panic information in Ukraine about them having taken Old Saltov, and if you listen to the speaker of Ministry of Defense, he said that they took a little village 15 miles away from Saltov, so there is still a long distance to get there. Bad news for Kharkov is that they've been hitting with some long-range artillery, and they used to do that just with Smerch MLRS, but now they're using artillery. They're taking some of the villages in a gray zone that we did not pay much attention to, but they're trying to advance regardless, to, I think, continue distracting us from Slavyansk. And this music will continue playing as long as we do not get enough reinforcements and armor and more weapons from our Western allies. Remember, we were talking about big pincer movement and small tweezer movement. While we've been laughing at small pincer near Severodonetsk and Popasная, Russian commanders decided to do big pincer movement again, probably because Severodonetsk is unreachable for them. They started to push again on the Izum direction, from Izum to Slavyansk, that area near Barvinkovo, Svetogorsk, Bogorodichne, along the road M03 from Izum to Slavyansk. They have a group of about 20 battalion technical groups. Best of what they have, the best of those that were beaten up near Kiev and Chernigov and Kharkov. They got Tamanskaya division, Kantemirov division, some airborne troops, and in the nomenclature list it looks pretty impressive, and anybody who is not aware of the details of this war might think that Slavyansk will be taken tomorrow. But in order to understand what's going on near Slavyansk, one should take a look at Severodonetsk, that they continue to try to capture for about 60 days and still cannot. Gaidai said that they have about 70% of Severodonetsk. Is that true? Now, these are fairy tales, not because Sergei Gadai lies, but because these estimates last only for about 2 to 3 hours. After 3 hours, it changes again. There's a street fighting going on, and it's a lot of maneuvered defense. So, the better way to gauge defense of Severodonetsk is not by that fake percentage that is being reported, but by the surroundings of that city. There is a heroic village, Metelkina, near it, and today our troops kicked some Russian ass there, and they retreated. That basically is a good indicator that Severodonetsk area is still under Ukrainian control, and they're playing a pretty interesting game there. They withdrew most of their land troops, and they just have some of the Kadyrovtsi and LNR DNR trying to reach us with their artillery from afar. We understand that, we're hitting them back, so there is another village, Baroska, further than Metelkina, Toshevka and Novotoshevka, Nagorskaya, Zolotoya. There is a protrusion from Zolotoy to Peromaisk. They're trying to cut it off, that yellow to the 5 or 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock now, and they're trying to close that. Doesn't work for them. They're also trying to get to Berestovaya, to the road between Severodonetsk and Bakhmut, and they're trying to advance to Bakhmut from Vladimirovka, Petrovsk. Somebody wrote me that they were hitting Bakhmut. Was it true? Yes, they've been hitting Bakhmut for a while. Rather noticeably, yes. How should I put it delicately? They are the guys who fight according to the principle that every commander has to earn his pay somehow. So, outside of any logic of the general operation, they very often put extra effort as they see it, not as the operation requires. And that's why some of them are pressing towards Bakhmut to get the road. They keep walking to that road for about 60 days and still cannot get there. There is a little bit of coordination that we saw on the Izum area. And near Limansk, they actually tried to advance towards Slaviansk as well, and to go across Siversky Donets and get to our side of it, of the river, and try to advance towards Siversk and lock the kettle there. But since they have to do it on a wide front, and they're very visible, I think M177s will have a good shooting day at them in that area. So that's the story of their attempts to close little kettles near Severodonetsk. I'll use the Russian propaganda words, how they think, and attempts to cut the road from Barbinkovo to Slaviansk and cut Slaviansk off. Why? This all will be very long, boring, and without any noticeable success, even though on the map it may look pretty terrible. Because all of the troops they have there, they are at least 50% down from their nominal roster. And it's, even though the names are well known in Russia, like Tamanskaya division, this is not the original one. The original one is already gone. It is the one built of reserves and only up to 50%. So they're pretty pathetic. The whole problem there exists because we do not have enough artillery. If we did, this whole area would be defended so well that they would not even think about advancing anywhere. Right now, very slowly, maybe 1 meter per day, struggling and quarreling, they're trying to advance somewhere. And that's fine. They advance, we keep shooting them. Let's continue south. There is a place a bit to the south of Horlovka, along the road that leads to the north. It doesn't work really for them, and there is a bit of artillery fighting going on in that area. Gulai they tried to advance there. Did not work for them because our troops made an attack maneuver right before they advanced. Interesting data that we still need to verify. The group near Vasilievka was split 50-50. Half of it, Buryats, went to Kherson, another half went to Severodonetsk. Do you know why? Because their relations are real bad. Between Buryat and Kadyrevtsi, yes. Remember they had a shootout near Chernobyevka. It escalated because Kadyrevtsi actually hit Buryats with artillery a couple times. So I think they got punished and sent to Severodonetsk for bad behavior. And Buryats were separated from them and sent to Kherson. So that's a curious story. Over there is some tactical motion with some shooting, some attempts to move forward, some attempts on our side that can be qualified as counter-offensive maneuvers. I understand that Ukrainian army is about 15 kilometers from Kherson. We were 15, now they did push back. We are at 18 kilometers now, but the situation didn't change generally. There is a lot of artillery fighting over there. Forgot to say the main thing. Yesterday was the day of Russia, right? For that day, they had tasks to take something. They failed to take anything. Our partisans also became more noticeable in Kherson area. They put more interesting leaflets there, and in Zaporozhye region, some of the Russian soldiers disappeared. Also blew up a couple of ammunition depots, and on Kherson direction, our artillery blew them up. And in Zaporozhye, they are relocating some resources, and we got them on the road. Our quality of counter-artillery fighting did increase rather prominently. First of all, because we got extra shells and extra artillery. Second, we also excel in better coordination between intel and artillery, and that gives better results. So, our quality is increasing. So that's the overall front situation. Yes, it is. Okay. There's about 360,000 watching us. 82,000 left their likes. Thank you, everybody. It is Monday, and I do hope that you will be posting these links someplace. Please do it. We are doing our best for you. And do not forget to subscribe to both of our channels. If you're watching that in English, please subscribe to the Privateer station and leave your like. Okay, we're about 13.5 minutes in. We have a lot of time. Olaf Scholz recently made a statement that you guys should not be pushing too hard on us. I'm adding for myself. Please tell Arestovych that he should not be blaming me for everything. We will supply everything, it's just with training your troops, how to use it, everything up to Iris and Panzer howitzers. We'll supply, we will. So that was his statement. It's 13th of June already. What do you think? How can you rate this information? I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen that, and I've seen our Ambassador Melnik about Iris. But I think Scholz mentioned it too. I think he talked about some specific armaments. Iris is October, November, right? Training? Do they train our troops on Iris or not? I don't know. I heard that somebody's getting trained on Panzer howitzers. Tanks? Anything there? No, no tanks. Even Spaniards were forbidden from sending us tanks. Mars, more talking. Remember we discussed the flashcards that they could install, and yet they're not helping. As Barrel said, it's a good statement. Unfortunately, you cannot win war with banknotes. You need weapons. I'm only imagining future historians who might be studying this war according to all the data and maybe perhaps looking at our conversation that we're trying to document daily progress of this war. And our conversation started back in April, and they will either conclude by August or become happier by that time. It was day 60, Feygin and Arestovych talking about weapons. Day 250, Arestovych and Feygin are discussing Scholz's statement if they will supply weapons or not. I think this story will be the most mundane and monotonous in the history of war. Hey, come on, we're saying as it is. We're not making it prettied up. I know. Alright, let's go to the facts. Michael Podolyak, did you hear his statement? Yes, and I was surprised by some of the numbers. 360 or 300 MLRS. Where would you get that? Well, these are the weapons we need to kick Russian army outside of Ukraine. Everything beyond that makes it much more problematic. A very small fraction of it becomes even worse. Where can you take 300 MLRS? Where can you find them? Well, if they really try, they will give it. Do they exist or they need to be manufactured? They exist to a degree, and some of them may need to be manufactured. What if it's 100? Even 100 is a good step. We can separate it, we can divide it by 5 and give it in 5 sets. It's still good. 200 howitzers, 100 tanks, 400 armored vehicles, 200 drones. This would change the situation on the front in our favor to a huge degree. And whatever Michael Podolyak stated there is an ideal figure, so that would be, we would have an opportunity to kick Putin's army out of Ukraine with jokes and whistles. But we'll see what they give, because, you know, brain function is a dark activity, especially of some Western politicians. And some of the logic they use is unanalyzable. Plus, you know, there is a meeting in Ramstein in a couple of days. What do you think what will happen there? They might end up giving us something, but we'll see. What's your prognosis? They're gathering together for the third times. Any specific forecast? No, it's hard to tell. All right. Next subject with supposed visit to Kiev. Almost 3 of them, Draghi, Scholz and Macron. I'm not sure if that is the information fake or if it is a real data. What is it? Can you comment on this one way or another? Well, on the 18th, there is a vote for giving a candidacy for European Union, awarding Ukraine a candidacy status. So perhaps there is a reason for them to come and confirm that and maybe negotiate some ifs and buts. But I did hear that Macron is considering to visit us after 15th. There was no information about Scholz and Draghi. So 15th is Ramstein, then visit of these guys, and then there'll be more meetings there. Hopefully some right words will be said, but frankly, between you and me, it would be much better if they supplied weapons. But even if they give us candidacy, still good. We're thankful even for that. Let's talk about candidacy. When it all started, If you remember, it was one of the versions to stop fire, and you mentioned yourself, if we get accepted to European Union in a rapid fashion, how would Russia continue fighting Ukraine if it is a member of the EU? So, any kind of membership will take some time to emanate, even if it's a temporary. How do you think Moscow will react to that? Probably they'll say that European Union should not be tolerating Ukrainian militarism and fascism, and we intend to continue our operation to the very end to give freedom to peoples of Kherson, Lugansk, and Donetsk regions, and perhaps add Kirienko's speech that they'll waste more money but will feed Donbass region. On the other hand, they might say that to make it a little sweeter for European Union and do not reveal all their agents there. Although they might say that although it's a European Union right, but they'll be making a big mistake giving that status to a bloody murder state, Ukraine. So, you think this will not stop anything with war? Yeah, European Union membership might have stopped it, but being a candidate doesn't really. How long is Turkey being the special case for membership in EU? Well, we can become a second such case, because it could take years, long years to get there. This is pretty much a circus show. I'm missing the politicians of Margaret Thatcher and Reagan levels. All right, we are for 22 minutes live. Another question. Yesterday there was a Day of Russia. Of course, there is no Day of Russia. It's really weird case to even discuss. But that little dude with glasses, Kirienko, published a whole article how one well-known writer said even these guys are visiting us now. Now they're sending Jews to actually be administrators. So Russian Nazis are using Russian Jews to be the conduits of Moscow. Entertaining. So what does it mean? What do you think? They are playing tough here, saying they'll connect all these regions and make them Russia. So Kirienko said that Mariupol was destroyed by Ukrainian Nazis and Russia will spend money to rebuild it. Do you think it means that an operation to deoccupy Kherson may be sped up a little? Mark, what can we speed it up with? If we get weapons, we will. If we won't, there's nothing to speed it up with. I'll tell you why they're jumping so happily in Russia and posting these articles about joining these regions to the country. They realize that there's not punishment coming for them. I'll tell you that after Bucha, they really got scared. Putin and his Inc. So they were nice in the conversations, negotiations, were eager to accept certain terms, very flexible, and they pushed back the advancement in Donbass, and they considered that the world might really push back on them after Bucha. And recently we discovered another grave in Bucha, again, shot knees, tied hands, dead bodies, and the world did nothing. In cursive, nothing after Bucha. Gave a little bit of weapons increased a little bit of sanctions, but it's all based on the same thing. Poor, so-so, not enough. So Russian orcs figured what to be afraid of. After all these atrocities, nothing is threatening them. Nothing came out of it, so we might as well announce the unity of all peoples that we occupied and claim Lugansk, Donetsk, and Kherson peoples to will to join Russia. In Kherson, out of 250,000 citizens, count only 23 people came to get Russian passports. By the way, the leader of that Spanish pedophile party came for that Russian passport, the Shari. Yeah. Regardless, Russian leadership succeeded in prevailing over the West, because any conversation with the West is an opportunity for negotiation. And frankly, they did not even have to try hard. West was eager to bend over backwards to talk to Russia. And I'm curious to listen what Scholz, Draghi, and Macron will talk about when they come to Ukraine, if they come to Ukraine. An interesting number was published recently that Russia, in a few recent days, got $100 billion just on the energy sales to Europe. It actually does seem that Russia is being thanked with extra purchases, and Putin's government machine got another monetary booster. That's why it would be nice to have sanctions on a bit rapid pace, and to have them in a manner that would prevent Putin from getting money from his energy and fuel. Second question is weapons. If we had enough weaponry, we would be able to change the flow of this war. Our minister already requested that artillery, 155mm artillery, many times, and reiterated that if we had it, we would have stopped Russia a long time ago. But, and I can only imagine that when kids grow up and I'll be as old as Kissinger, I'll be telling stories about this war, and I will stop selecting words, and I will go to a simple military language about this whole story of weapons transfers and military support from the West. How does the civilized world fight with Putin's regime? And does it between good coffee and croissant? And what do you think? What could be a good stimulus? What could help to re-energize both sanctions policies and weapons support, and perhaps some hatred to Putin's regime? The only thing that I can see is that if Putin will hit Poland or any country of the West, and that's why he would never do that. Otherwise, Bucha tragedy did not really move them. Our logic and calculations are being ignored. Real threats that if Ukraine territory will be consumed by Russia, Ukraine will stop existing, and after they kill about 2 million people who are actively resisting, and the rest will be thrown into Russian army one way or another, which will add another 500,000 troops, and the threat of Europe will become much more prominent. It still doesn't work on them. It seems they can think only in the concept of my time, and whatever happens after that, I don't care. Hence, I'm thinking the only somewhat feasible solution is to speed up your integration, increase the speed of sanctions, and put some terms on a peace solution. That might slow down aggressive politics of Putin. While they're inventing different options and negotiations in the West, We understand here that only a straight punch in the face can stop Putin. We need to break them on the front, take away their ability to advance, and then kick them out, and that will tell Putin to get out. That is what might stop him. Just like British Minister of Foreign Affairs said that all our hopes that our economic sanctions and push and communications will bring these countries to the same world where we are, we're wrong, because these countries do not understand our psychology. Putin's psychology is different. And his logic is different. When he created all these atrocities, announced a war against the West, because he said that he fights against the American-centric world, he's fighting with the West. And the West tells him back, well, we might need to let you save your face, you should not be despised. And pretty much what China says, whatever they say, we need to continue with our course, and we will prevail. So the only way to win over Putin here in Ukraine is weapons, 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 arms, weapons, armaments, munitions, weapons, weapons, also weapons, and more weapons. And of course, weapons might help in this case, because without weapons it is hard to fight. With weapons, when the weapons arrive, is exactly what we need, weapons. Do you think that will break their mental barriers? I can continue that for 20 minutes with different intonations, if only it helped. Listen, Moscow understands that slowdown of military support is their attempt, is the increase of their attempt, or aid to their attempt to occupy more territories of Ukraine. Do you think their current pace is at max, or they might speed up their advance in a way? I don't see extraneous circumstances, but they might be able to gather another 40 battalion tactical groups. Kinda seems a lot. Oh, the whole 40. What is it? Right now we have over 103 battalion tactical groups. Also, what are these groups? They're 50% groups. They can't even staff brigade with 3 detachments. They barely have 2. I just got another text message. Olexiy, not only weapons, but also ammo. Ammo would be real nice. We could have used ammos, and with ammo we would have a chance to solve this problem. If ammo would be supplied, we could have resolved it faster. Without them, it is much harder, so we need ammo. Alright. So they're threatening on paper to gather about 10 battalion tactical groups per month. In reality, they might be able to gather 5 at half the staff, so-so quality-wise, but perhaps they could overwhelm us in one place somewhere on the front. But if we're getting weapons, we could do more fighting with weapons, because of weapons, if we were supplied weapons. I'm just laughing at this West. Imagine if you could come to me and say, Olexiy, I got a existential problem, I don't know if I'll survive. And I have this problem, I need $200. Or perhaps I need your help to ferry a corpse somewhere. And I'm telling you, of course, Mark, I would help you. I approve your Arestovych-centric aspirations. And you might actually give me a status of a candidate to Feygin partners. But I'm telling you, I'll need $200. And you're answering, no problem. We gathered a 3rd conference. We're not indifferent. We give you $3, and very soon we'll give you another 1.5. And I'm telling you back, Mark, imagine, I have kids and soldiers dying. 100, 200 a day. And you'll be coming back. Oh, I'm so sorry. What are you saying? I did not know. If I knew, I would have done different. Here is 22 cents more. I think with that you'll definitely overcome. And I'd be saying, Mark, 200 about survival of nation, people being dead. It's as if you and Kostya would say, we're talking about the survival of the whole culture. Putin's regime wants to destroy the language, culture, the whole mentioning about Ukrainians. You're giving grand apocalyptic announcements and estimations, and I'm saying yes, and because of that we need a little bit of help. And you're nodding and saying, of course, yes, anything you wish, take these 2 cents and go hold Severodonetsk. When they overwhelm you 5-1 or 5 or 10-1. And that's going on for very many days. And then other people come and say, you know what? What if you strike peace accord? And I ask, wait, didn't you just say that it's about our nation, language, and culture? And these people answer, oh, come on, just sign Minsk 3. You'll feel better, we'll feel better, we'll get more oil, no sanctions, we'll definitely be good. And if I tell them that, hey, they'll recover, get more troops, and we'll occupy our territory with new troops. And you'll be eating French bread baked out of the grain stolen by Russia from Ukraine. Would it matter? And they're saying, no, it'll be later. Right now we'll be okay. And right now we just don't need to let him save his face. One would pee himself from laughter if it was not so sad, if there was no tragedy. Us in particular. A more cheap and idiotic comedy than the West armaments coming to Ukraine. This is a very bad and cheap comedy. What's going on now? Alright. The question is, we see what Europe is. What is America doing? We heard about Lend-Lease from May. Can we understand when America will make their decisions and will get these reinforcements in? I guess we'll see after Ramstein. Ramstein is another milestone on the way. It's Millie's and Austin's shop. So we'll see what decisions will they take there. But President Biden did state and did give all the proper accents. And then we came and said, hey, could you give us 10 more howitzers? He said, no, hang on. The speech about the survival of Ukrainian people must be pronounced first. It must fly around the planet several times so that everybody gets impressed. And then you can come back to us asking for howitzers. You asked for 1,000? We'll give you one, maybe two. And we'll see, we'll even take pictures for you, how we load them in the plane. That reminds me of how Finland was getting support from the West during the war. They even had some international legion. They even got like 20 airplanes at the end of the war when they were not needed anymore. Everybody supported Finland in the war against Bolshevism that wanted to consume them. About the same kind of thinking. At the same time, they could waste $20 million a day in Afghanistan for 20 years. That was all right. I often think that I do understand West, but I think I will understand the West better when I'll understand why did they spend 300 millions or 20 million or whatever $1 million a day. They can't even supply us with 1/20th of that, not even in money, in weapons. The rest we'll figure it out. Alright, so today we've been 40 minutes live. I think everything important we said, and those people who need to hear it will hear. We had 450,000 people watching us live today, and I hope that this message will reach the recipients, especially in such an unusual form as it was announced today, both about ammo and weapons. Alright, we'll continue tomorrow, right? Yes, yes. Let's hope maybe tomorrow we'll have a bit better day. We're all good, yes, we're all good. We're just missing a couple things: weapons and ammo. Alright, despite that hell and horror, we'll show a little bit of pictures while showing Sasha Filipchuk, whom we managed to support a little. People are helping her, looking for a way to acquire a robotic prosthetic arm for her. But we managed to send her 2,000 euros, not too big of a money, but, something to support her in these days of her life. Might find her on Facebook and send her words of support there, or help her with more treatment. And right now, as we said, we're trying to help the family of the officer of Ukraine who died recently. Do you want me to show you a picture? Beautiful picture. It's one of the storage facilities, storage bases for United States. They're just standing there. 1,000 howitzers, 100,000 Humvees and M113s. A lot of tanks, a lot of other things, just under the sky. In the meantime, as American president said, the culture and nation are dying, and they're about to be wiped out by evil forces. And, if you want to help these people, you might as well send some of these treasures over. I said a lot of things I wanted to say as well. That's long polemics. And we always have trolls. There are more trolls in our chats attacking you and me. Both of us are saying wrong things and about wrong subjects. There were some questions though. Ask about this, ask about that, ask about some other experts. Sorry, we're not discussing the opinion of other experts on this show. I don't even want to discuss them here. Our streams are important for the reviews of war. We are interested in the opinion of professionals who are involved in either decision making or take part in that decision making. And we're not trying not to pay attention to all the trolling going on there. So please disregard the trolls, concentrate on our data, and we'll see you tomorrow and continue our conversation tomorrow. Thank you, Olexiy. Tomorrow, see you at 10. Good luck.